Alright guys, so today we're going to be doing an interesting install. So my rotors have been messed up for quite a while. They're all warped, and they're the OEM rotors. So I got these new guys from R1 Concepts. So they're the Eco line or whatnot. Just these are the rears, and that's for the front. And then I have just the generic pads from them. So they're ceramic brake pads. Then these are the rears. Again, I have Hawk pads, but I figured I'd swap them anyway because the Hawk pads are about 5 years old. 4 years old actually, so we'll see. I also have some CRC brake disc quiet, which is going to go on the pads, and I figured I'd put some lube on the actual parts after I clean them. So basically, I have my torque impact wrench over here. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to do the rear. It's more of a pain in the butt. So always use incredible caution when lifting. I lift it from the diff right there. I keep the jack on the floor anyway, just in case, just zero pressure. And always use a jack stand. And the jack stand can go on any of these mounting points right here. So now I'm just going to take off each tire and start basically removing the caliper. Also, yeah, PB blast, super important. You're going to need this stuff. You're also going to need, apologize for the mess in the garage. Let's see. Oh yeah, probably going to need some form of hammer. So either like a 2-pound sledge or a soft impact hammer, which I don't know where the hell mine is. Oh, mine's in my little bag. But yeah, I'm going to use this guy to knock the rotor out. So that's important. You're going to need some sockets, which they're all way over there, but probably need a couple of these socket guys. So a one to remove your tire, a 14 and a 10 millimeter, I believe, are the ones. If not, it's either 10, 12, 14, if I recall. So if anything, I'll just name them as I move on with this video. Oh, and you also need a hanger, which I gotta find where mine is. The reason why you need a hanger is because you have to hang the caliper. You can't just leave the caliper hanging from the line. Oh, here's mine. So I made this little caliper thing where you just mount it and it holds the brake for you. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty much all you need. So let's get started. All right, so if you have spacers, make sure you take those off too. If they don't move, just wiggle it back and forth. Might have to do a little bit of convincing with a little there. I gotta figure it out. I'll probably put some degreaser on here and just wiggle it out. Alright guys, so I already did that side, so I'm going to show you how to do this side. So basically, you're going to need one of these guys because it's really cramped in here. You can't really get an impact wrench on there unless you have a lift and you can get underneath it and then use a swivel to get to this bolt back here. So this is a 19 millimeter, so I just grab it and just start hitting it with the hammer until it frees itself. Make sure that whatever you do, you don't strip that bolt trying to hit it with a hammer, and be careful with your body work. Those things bounce back very nice, especially with this, so you got to really control the hammer. This is a 14 millimeter, and basically this is, in my opinion, kind of stupid, but the bottom bolt, you can't remove the bottom bolt without getting this in the way. So what you got to do is loosen up these bolts for the actual this thing. Sorry, It's kind of hot right here. I'm in butt fucking Florida. So the caliper bolts, the caliper bracket bolts, this guy in the bottom 19 millimeter, you take these guys off, or you loosen them first, and then when you remove the top guy, obviously no problem. The bottom guy, just loosen it up, and then the way to remove it is you remove the bracket and then you remove the bolt from the bottom. You just pull the bolt out after you have it loosened. In case, if you guys forgot, don't put the e-brake on. If you put the e-brake on, you will not be able to take this guy off, or you will like explode the fucking internal emergency brakes. Okay, if by any chance they are stuck, there's a little hole right here. Okay, if you use a screwdriver and you twist the little knot in there, you will release the calipers. By mistake I did on this, so I'm gonna have to reattach it once I take the rotor off. But if by any chance your insides are stuck, you're gonna need that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these guys off. I already loosened these, so as you notice, they're already loose. I gotta do the other guys, which I'm gonna need both hands for. So I won't be able to exactly show you me doing that, because currently I only have my little cell phone here. My wife took my camera today, so I'll be showing you how to do that. So give me a second, let me loosen these bolts and then I'll show you. Okay, so some bullshit happened. Basically, so this caliper, the bottom side got completely seized. So yeah, that happened. That guy was completely seized up, and on top of that, the threads were stripped, probably by the previous owner, because this is the first time I actually swapped the rear brakes. So I had to use one of these reverse dog teeth sockets, a 14. This is, I believe, a 16, but yeah, I used a 14 to basically grip onto the bolt and take it out. Then I had to hammer it out of the housing. So for now, I'm just going to show you how to actually remove the rotor. So first, make sure that obviously your emergency brake pad is off. Let me go get my hammer. So that's the bolt right there, so I'll come back to that one in a little bit. So you take your hammer and basically you're gonna hit and rotate this rotor. So hit, rotate. So you're gonna go back here, hit it twice, and rotate it. Hit it a couple times, then rotate it. Hit it a couple times while you get the point. So let me do this because it's really a pain in the butt to do it one-handed. So let me do this meanwhile and stick the rotor back there or something. So I mean the caliper back there. Just make sure it doesn't fall and this thing doesn't get all kinked up. So I'm gonna do that and then I'll get back to that other motherfucker over there. So here's what I did. Bolt wasn't terribly stripped, or rounded I should say, if I can get this to focus. But you can see I'm trying to use a file to correct the edges and get it all rounded so I can at least get a semi-tight grip on there, and I can put Loctite on there so it doesn't back out. But hopefully if I can do this enough, and with the Loctite it should be able to hold there until I can get a new bolt. Because unfortunately these you got a special order and my car ain't gonna be going anywhere if I don't get this thing running. So you gotta MacGyver this for today. So using a file, I'm very carefully trying to flatten out every single edge. I probably am gonna end up having to use one of these, a pipe wrench, a flat pipe wrench, very carefully to tighten it. But we'll see how this goes. So when you clean these calipers, make sure that you clean. So this is the bolt that I cleaned, and that's the old one. And that's that one right there. So you know, there's two bolts. There's one without a notch and one with a notch. I don't know if you can see it. The one with the notch goes at the top. So I'm gonna clean all these bolts and make them look like this, and then basically I'm gonna reinstall them. But make sure that you clean this part, this bracket, real well. You clean in here because we're gonna put new grease. You clean the clips. We're gonna grease these guys up. So we're gonna use. I'm gonna do this also while I'm at it. So this is the grease that's going to go in here and on the clips, and this is going to go on the actual back of the pads. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up all these parts, and yeah, this is going to take a while, but this is the correct way to do this. So do it once, cry once, right? Buy once, cry once, same difference. All right, yeah. So do this once, do it correctly, and you'll be happy you did it afterwards. So, all right, let's get started. Make sure you don't confuse, well, it doesn't matter right and left, but I want to keep this guy on the same side. So, and don't mix up your brackets either. All right, I'm gonna get started. All right, guys, so unfortunately, I got some, probably a little bit of heat stroke because of that motherfucker. Yeah, that asshole right there. So, whew, sorry, I'm kind of out of breath. So basically, the back ended up being a huge bitch because of that one bolt. And also the inside of this guy right here, well, in the back, inside of this guy, it had so much rust. Luckily though, it wasn't too bad because it's chrome line, I realized. So I cleaned it all up, degreased it, put fresh lube in there, because it kept getting stuck because the grease, basically what happens is that, you guys know that grease really can't be compressed that well. Well, there was so much dust and garbage in here that the grease wasn't allowing, like the pinion wasn't allowing the grease to go around it, so it would just get stuck there because you couldn't compress all that garbage. So I basically had to take the caliper off again, and with a screwdriver I had to go in there and scrape all that stuff off and take it out, clean it, and rinse and repeat till it was clean. Then I could add the new grease, then it would compress the whole way, which is fine. And then basically it's just reinstalling it. You know, you put the caliper on, you put the bottom bolt first, like when you're putting the back, you basically, like up here, you install this bottom bolt and the top bolt, and then you place the caliper on and you put the two bolts in the back. Once you do that and the caliper is seated, you can unscrew the top bolt, and this will open up like a little book thing like this, when you can put in the two the brakes. So I did the brakes. The red paste that I use, basically what you do is that you take the back of the back of the brake pad and you coat it with that stuff, not too thick, not too thin, and you leave it to dry. It has to be tacky. Don't get any of it on the actual brake pad itself or any of the surrounding area, just the back. That's basically to quiet down the pad. It also looks really cool because it's red. I was gonna paint my calipers, I mean, but it's too fucking hot and they're really dirty, and honestly, in order for me to do it correctly, I'd have to remove the brake hoses from here, and that would require me to basically do a complete, basically just a complete brake flush, which I'm not going to do today because I'm under a time constraint. That's actually going to be the next thing I do, and I'll teach you how to do it the one-way method, which is fairly simple. You just put something here like a brake, you put a bottle here and you run a line into the bottle with a little bit of fluid on the bottom, and then you press the pedal, and you can keep this open, and as you're pressing it, it's going to be sucking fluid out of the top and pushing it into here, and in turn it's going to go in here, but the air will stay up top, it won't go back into the line. So do this and go back into the bottle, and then once you notice that all the old fluid is out of here, you just close the thing and you're done. And you do that with each caliper. Obviously you start from the rear and work your way forward from the furthest, basically passenger rear, passenger front, driver front. That's how you bleed the brakes. But anyway, that's another video, and that will be the next one I do. So the front ones are the really messed up ones. So I don't know if you noticed, but there is a small, if I can get this to focus, there's a small, and it's not really that small, it's actually a pretty huge lip. You can see it right there, but I can literally just grab the rotor. As you can see, it's pinching. I can pinch my fingers with it. There's a better view of it. So it's a huge, and then the same thing here on the bottom. Not so much here, but it's really a lot here. So basically, hold on. These rotors are set. They can be resurfaced. Probably what I'm doing is cleaning them and giving it to somebody on the cheap, just so that if they want to go ahead and do it, they can go do it. I don't want to. I'd rather just put a new set on. But yeah, I usually will sell this stuff cheap, just because somebody else might not have the $300-400 it takes to actually get rotors and pads here, correct? So for like 50-60 bucks, they can get a new set and clean them in under 100. These should still be good, but anyway, we'll see. Anyway, it's another story. So these guys, now I'm gonna take it off. Same deal. You get a 14 millimeter top here, 14 millimeter here. I believe it's a 19. I may be wrong. This one is probably bigger. Yep, this is bigger. So I'm gonna have to find out what that one is. Let me see. Maybe it's. Oh no, it's a lot bigger. See, this one is, I believe, a 21 millimeter, and that's too small. See, I have a 22 right here. Let's see. Oh, look at that. It's exactly a 22 millimeter socket. So you're gonna need a 20 millimeter for this one. The one in the back is a 19 millimeter. But yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna start getting this guy out of here, cleaning the rotor, flushing this garbage out here and here, doing the same on the other side. So I'll try to do this. Unfortunately, I'm extremely tired, so half the time I'm just trying to finish this for my own sanity. So I'll try to film as much as possible. That's why I'm trying to describe it to you at least. But yeah, let me get started on this, and then we'll film some inside the garage because it's too fucking hot outside. Alright guys, give me a second. Alright, so unfortunately I got lightheaded again. I had to stop a little bit because I'm not exactly in the best of shape, but new rotors are in. Basically all I did was, this actually will help you guys. If you guys have a gun, you're gonna need it because that thing is tight as hell. So you're gonna hand the caliper there. You're gonna rotate this piece this way. Right now it's aimed towards the passenger because I took out the passenger side rotor. Basically you aim it towards this way, which exposes the two bolts on the side, on the bottom, and then you can get with your 22 millimeter and just pull them out quick. You know, pull them out. And that'll basically remove the caliper. You can hide it. You can put the new one right on, and then I basically bolted my 20 millimeter spacer now, so it can hold the rotor in there as I'm mounting the new parts. The orientation of the rotors I'm using, there's people that put it the other way around with these things, aiming this way instead of this way like mine. Most of the places I've seen have them aiming forward, so I did that on all 4 tires. Just for the hell of it. That's what they recommend too, R1, so I went that way. So my caliper is fucked. Not fucked, but it's rusted and all that crap. So that paint thing is gonna have to go for another day because I'm exhausted. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean the bracket on both sides, and I'll show you a little bit of that while I'm in there, and then you can hide them here. So I'll show you the other side now, so you can see it. So basically you're gonna turn it that way. Yeah, look at that radius. Woo! It's drift spec right there. So it'll give you access to that bolt. Actually that's the bottom one, and that's the top. So yeah, and you just hang the caliper there with a little coat hanger, and you're done. So yeah, my pads were not totally shot, but this one barely has a channel. I might have to clean out the dirt. It may be dirt just in there, but these are HPS Hawk pads. They're fucking amazing pads, but they make a shit ton of dust, which I don't mind because the important part is that they stop when they need to stop. Dirt is just dust, whatever. It's not a big deal. So I'm gonna go ahead. That's the other caliper right there. So I'm gonna clean the driver's side now. Which I have here. So I'm gonna clean this guy out, clean the bolts, oil them with the grease, put this on the, actually I'll probably put this that way it can dry first on the pads. So actually these are the back ones. You get the new ones. Let's see. get a piece of paper here so I don't dirty the bottom of them. My table is sorry about that. So here are the new ones. Oh yeah, look at that beefiness. Yeah, mine are definitely shot compared to these things. So yeah, mine those hawk pads have lasted me. That was the first thing I ever did to the car, and I've bought the car 5 years ago. So those hawk pads lasted me 5 years, which is insane in my book. How long those have lasted. So I'm gonna go ahead and lube these guys up with some brake quiet, and then I'll clean this guy, and then we'll go into installing them. I'll show you a little bit on how I clean this guy in the middle here. If I can get to it, others it might be closed, I'm not sure. But yeah, clean these brackets, oil both sides of the bracket, which I'll show you a little bit of that. I know I didn't show you on the back caliper. Again, I was worried about the whole bolt issue. So yeah, let me do this, let me do these guys actually, and let me take this a little bit apart, and then I can show you. Alright guys, so here I have the caliper bracket discombobulated. So here's the clean, quote unquote, shim, and here's the other one. So these with the wings go at the top, the one without the wings go on the bottom. This is one of the pins. This is, I gotta double check if this is the top or bottom. Anyway, so this is what they should look like clean. That is dirty, so that's what you got to clean. And also you got to clean the garbage that's in there. So I don't know if you can see in there. Let me see if I can actually get my flashlight out so I can show you, because it's pretty ratchet. Let's see. Yeah, so it's pretty dirty and grimy, so clean all that stuff up, that way you can get fresh grease in there, and grease this bitch up. Alright, and then basically just put it together, and that's it. That's all you gotta do to it. I'm gonna clean it with brake cleaner, flush it out, clean all that crap out, and then it'll be set. Cool. So yeah, I checked. This guy goes on the bottom side of the caliper. That guy goes on the top side of the caliper, so that way there's no mistakes. And yeah, these guys go at the top. If by any chance you ever, this is why I only do one at a time, because if by any chance you mistaken, like, oh, which part goes where, whatever, you can just go, oh, there's the other caliper, bam, fixed. So pro tip, only do one side at a time, unless you have this on a picture or something. All right, so here we go. Once you get the bracket installed, you can see that little this guy right here, this little spring, rides inside this little lip. So this inside, you can see it, also rides inside. Make sure that this is inside, because this is what's going to help pull this brake apart. As you notice, they're not touching. It'll pull the brake apart as you're trying to stop the vehicle. So that's important. And then basically mount this, and then on these guys, if you notice, there's a little square. It's not fully, well, I can show you this kind of bottom. You see how it's square and then it's rounded? So this square part has to line up with this lip right here. So make sure you do that correctly. That way you don't break this and you don't damage anything. So basically now you just flip it over. So I gotta let go so I can do it with both hands. But basically that's it. And I'll get back with the braking procedure. Alright guys, so we're in the Z now. Now I'm gonna do the braking procedure. Fun! Not really. This is vomit inducing to most people, but you gotta do it, otherwise your brakes are gonna go kaput. So here's the paper that comes with the R1 rotors. Basically, you have to warm up the brakes, accelerate to 60 miles an hour, blah blah blah, and slow down slowly to 10 miles an hour. Don't drag on the brakes. Basically the whole point of this shebang is that you heat up the brakes, so you basically cure the brake pad material, and you break in the rotors at the same time. It is important that you do this correctly. The most important part is do not keep your foot on the brake. Do not use your e-brake, turn the car in neutral, whatever the fuck. Just do not keep your pads on the brakes. When you do that, you basically create a hot spot, which basically eventually warps the rotors. Some people will argue that you don't need to do this, blah blah blah. I'd rather do it. It's not really that big of a deal. Yeah, just do it. So yeah, basically you have to accelerate from 0 to 60 and then stop and then slow down and stop. You have to do this about 8 or 10 times in quick succession. Basically you're not allowing the brakes to cool. Basically you're gonna have a little bit of squeak, etc, etc, etc. Don't brake aggressively in the first 500 miles of normal driving. You know, unless obviously it's to avoid an accident. So yep, that's it. Just do this and your brakes should be good. Next episode I will probably, I found a leak of liquid for whatever reason on my driver's side over here, down where the jack was. So I gotta find out what the hell that was. But yeah, it seemed to be brake fluid, which is not good. I don't know where the hell it's coming from, but it's coming from like this area right here. Literally, it's dripping right here. It's probably some sort of line. I don't know why it would be doing that. It normally, this car does not have any leaks. It just started, I just found it today. And it was actually dripping on top of my jack, like the little HUD where the jack holds the chassis of the car. And it was fresh brake fluid. So yeah, let's see what the hell that could be. But yeah, I'm gonna go do this right now and enjoy my new brakes. So thank you guys for watching, and you know, stay tuned for the next one. Peace out. All right, guys. So this is the next day after me driving the Z around a little bit with the new brakes. I'm trying to see where I can position this camera. Right now I'm just going on a morning drive. So these brakes, the brakes are good actually. They're obviously not as bitey as the hawk pads. But I never really expected that to be the case. We're talking about a $220 kit as opposed to a $400 kit with the new brakes. So, are they good? My opinion, yeah. Have I autocrossed them or anything? No. Would I buy this again? Probably. I'll see as the months go on. So this does take a little bit more braking effort, but it's not a huge deal, and for the price I really cannot complain. But no more warped rotors, so I'm happy. So next time I'll bleed the brakes or something else that might break, so we'll see. But bleeding the brakes is definitely on the schedule. Alright guys, take it easy.